Good evening. The topic tonight is scientific proof to the Torah, and I'm going to mix several different topics, but I would like to take the opportunity to answer a lot of your questions. I mean, in between everything that I'm going to show, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. It's the opportunity to ask them here tonight. In my opinion, and I'm sure you will agree with me, ignorance is the number one danger to the human being. Ignorance, it could be in different topics, different subjects. For instance, somebody can be a great doctor, but he has no idea about how to work with computers. That's not a contradiction. He can be a genius in math, and he doesn't know anything about history. He could be a genius in almost everything you want to think about, but he has no knowledge in Judaism. The difference is that when a person is genius in certain things and he may not know math or he may not know computers, no, it's affecting his life, but it's not the end of the world. When a person is ignorant in Judaism, that means his life is a waste of time, which means every second he lives, it's a waste. 70, 80, 90 years he walk around wasting his goal, wasting his mission. He's not touching the purpose that he was created for. I'm going to say a few things that I'm sure you're disagreeing with me, but I'm not getting nervous because of that, because I'm doing it for 14 years, and I spoke to hundreds of thousands of people until today for 14 years, thousands of lectures through the media or face to face. And I haven't found one person yet, one even, that could contradict one word of what I say until this moment. Not the entire lecture, not one word. And the reason is not because I came to brag that I'm the best speaker in the world, the opposite. I'm one of the last one on the list. I just happen to sell the best product in history. And nobody can argue with this. Why? Because it's the Word of God. When I come to represent God here, all the credit is to Him, nothing to me. If I come to speak about math, it's a lot of my knowledge. Or if I'm a professor in anything you can think of, I deserve a credit. I came to renew something. I invented something. Fine, so I deserve the credit. Well, when I just come to read, only to read things that God gave us in Mount Sinai in front of 15 million people, then I don't deserve any credit. He deserves all the credit. Now, of course, it would be very foolish to become religious based on faith only, based on belief only. Because in science, believing means not knowing. When a scientist says, I believe that this medicine is going to work, then every investor that wants to invest in this medicine, he knows right away that this scientist is not sure about it. Right? But if a scientist say, we know for sure that once you do A, B, C, that's what's going to happen, we know for sure, then the investors are willing to try. Why? Because it's guaranteed. It was checked for thousands of times. It always worked. If you take Advil 1,000 times, and each time it relieves your pain, your headache, each time, for 1,000 times, not one, it led you down. Then you can count on it that after 1,000 times, for the 1,001 time, it will also work. But if you try it 5 times, and it worked 4 out of 5, that's no guarantee that in a 6th time it's going to work. Are you going to invest in this medicine? It's not such a smart thing to do. What I'm trying to say is, if you're going to get tonight 100% proof that this book is the word of the Creator of the world, and you're going to continue to live the way you lived until today, excuse my language, nobody can be more foolish than you. And I didn't come here to offend anyone. That's my opinion. Yeah, you can disagree with me. If I did not prove, then I'm the biggest fool. Why? Because I'm wasting my time. I'm following a religion I'm following a book of instruction. Torah means instructions in Hebrew, Horaot. And I have no 100% guarantee that this is the word of God, then I'm taking a big risk. I'm giving up certain things that I wanted to do. I cannot steal anymore. I cannot lie anymore. I cannot speak lashon hara, gossip about people anymore. I cannot watch dirty movies anymore. You know, I have to be nice to my wife all the time, not just sometimes. I have to be A, B, C, D until tomorrow. Why am I doing it? Not always because I agree that this is what I like to do. Sometimes I don't. Why? Sometimes I have an opportunity to steal $1 million, forge few papers, press few buttons, and steal $1 million and go back to Israel. Why don't I do it? Not because I'm afraid of them. I can fool them very well. I'm afraid of him. Why? Because he told me, you steal, you'll pay double in the end. I have to be a fool not to listen. So all these things that I'm telling you here can be proven. If you disagree, please raise your hand and argue right there. Don't wait till the end of the lecture. By the time that we finish the lecture, you're going to say, well, I wasn't convinced here and there just because you were afraid to ask. Please stop me and ask me any question you have. Let's start. The beginning statement that I make is any way to lower the heat here? Or maybe I should start taking my jackets off. No, I'm just it's one of these buildings that they cook you no matter what happens. Okay, it's okay. No, Rami. All right. Good thing I didn't bring a tie. All right. We can open the window maybe. Maybe you have a window.
Oh, the window open.
They're all open. No, so, okay. So the point is that the opening statement is, if there is a God, if he gave us a book, then we have to agree that this book cannot have any errors in it. If we're going to find one mistake in his book, then we will know that we cannot rely on this book ever again. Why? Once the book has proven to us, please with the baby, if the book has proven to us that it's capable of making mistakes, then maybe every order that I'm going to receive from this book, every obligation that I have, could be the second mistake. I cannot rely on it 100%. We are talking only 100% in this lecture. 99.9% is believing. Believing means not knowing. There's no guarantee. I'm not going to bind myself to something that is not 100%. Only if it's 100%, I'm willing to change. If it's not 100%, I stay who I am. Even though it's not so clever, because even 99%, it's very close to 100. You don't want to take a risk. But I'm talking only 100%. In order for us to know if there is God or not, we don't need to prove that He exists with our 5 senses. We were created with 5 senses, and with those 5 senses we cannot prove that God exists. The way we know that God exists is very simple. When we get on a plane from here to Israel, we are 10 hours in the air, and we're getting to Tel Aviv, and we are not worried that we're going to head to Tel Aviv, or maybe instead of going to Gaza or to Egypt. Why we're so sure that we're going to get to Tel Aviv? Very simple. We count on something that called radio waves. Radio waves helps the pilot to find his destination. Without it, it will be impossible for him to reach Tel Aviv. And when we get on a plane, we are not worried that we're going to get to a different country. Now, can we prove in 5 senses that radio waves exist? The answer, of course not. Nobody can smell it, nobody can touch it, nobody can see it, nobody can hear it. And there's no way really to prove that the radio waves exist. So how do we know they exist? Because we see the results and we understand that they exist. For instance, if we turn the television on and we see somebody speaking in LA now, and we see him live and he's explaining that there's something going on there, and we're looking inside the box, we know he's not sitting in a box. When we used to be kids, we used to look for the guys inside the box. Today we know that he comes here through wires or through radio waves. And these radio waves could not be proven, but we know for sure that there's something in the air that brought us that image. That means there are things that exist and we have no way to prove them physically. I'll give another example. One time in Russia, communism means anti-God. Doesn't matter Judaism, Christianity, they're anti any religion. And in Russia, they used to teach the kids to be God haters. That God does not exist, it's all nonsense, let's take care of one of another, we have to help ourselves. That's called comuna, communism. So one teacher was telling the kids, whatever we can prove with our five senses exists. If not, that means it does not exist. One kid said to her, in that case, the teacher does not have intelligence. You're a very foolish teacher. She said, why? He said, where can we prove that your wisdom exists? Where is it, your intelligence? Can we see it? Can we touch it? Can we smell it? Can we taste it? Obviously not. So she changed her mind. So the point is, there are many things in life that exist for sure. With our wisdom, with our investigation in our head, we know for sure they exist. We cannot point at them, but they for sure exist. Now, if there is a creation, there is a creator. No creation was ever made by itself. A random explosion cannot create anything symmetric, with size, with colors, with a lot of planning. Like when you see even a little table, 4 chairs, 4 legs, a flat piece of wood, painted with the shiny protection, have screws in the right places, always they match, you can measure by inches, everything is matching. To say that the table was made by itself, if you're going to say it, they're going to hospitalize you in mental house. If you're going to give a speech that the chair was made by itself, that you heard an explosion and then a chair was made, nobody will ever speak to you again. You'll be a danger to society. But when you go to colleges and the foolish professors get on a stage and say that the world was created by an accident, by a big bang or an explosion, random explosion, and everything fell into place, you never stop them to ask, do you really believe what you're selling us? You really believe that? The rule is very simple. Every creation has a creator. The more brilliant is the creation, it indicates that the creator is more brilliant, right? To make a chair, you can be a smart guy. You don't need to be a genius. To create a laptop, you got to be a lot smarter, and it takes a longer time. It's years of research. So the more sophisticated is the machine, it gives us hopes and understanding that the creator is very sophisticated. In that case, can we point at something in this world that is more complicated than the human's brain? Did you ever read a little bit about your brain? Your brain has 10 trillion connections in it. 10 trillion, which means 10 billion multiplied by 1,000. And this is all in the size of an apple. And inside there's 80% liquid. So that means there's hardly any material. It's all liquid. And it's all very, very sophisticated and complicated. There's so many connections inside. If we stretch that from the beginning of it to the end of it, if we're going to stretch it, it's going to reach the moon and come back. That's how long it's going to be. And the wires inside the brain, how thin they are, 1,000th of an hair. If you take an hair out of your head, one piece of hair, and you look at that in the sun, you can hardly see it. Now divide it to 1,000. That's how thin is each wire inside our brain, and it's all covered with liquid. And if you cut one of them, just cut one of them, if you're able to, let's say, put a little razor inside, just let's assume, and cut one of them, you're paralyzed. You can't move, you can't think, you cannot move your ligaments, your muscles. That's how complicated is the human brain. Who is the fool that may think that something like this was made without planning, without an interference and a direct creation of a brilliant creator? Do you really think that those professors believe that something like this can be created 6.4 billion times in this world, all of it by coincidence? I'll make a deal with you. Let's take 100 coins. No, you don't need 100. Take 10 coins. Throw it on the floor. And the first time that it fails, I'm going to give you 1,000,000 chances to do it exactly the same, to throw them again, and each one of them has to fall in a place where it fell in the first time. And if you're going to make it, you'll get from me a very large check. And after 1,000,000 times that you fail to do so, you give me 10% of what I'm offering you. It's fair deal or not? Why am I so confident you won't be able to do it? Because randomly nothing can be done in such a way. It has to be planned. So to say that 6.4 billion times from a drop of seed, which is no difference than a drop of water, a person with such a sophisticated system is walking around with intelligence, with spirituality, and to think that it's all repeating itself by coincidence, or from a little seed, an orange tree came out, and they all covered with peels, with beautiful colors and smells, and you cut it, you see that all the bubbles inside are all in the same direction, not once one of them goes against, and the atoms, and so many other things. If you learn about the nature, you'll be amazed from the Creator. So bottom line, we finished that part of the lecture. The creation of this world was made by someone. That leads us to the next step. Why this someone that we don't know who he is yet? Why did he make it? Did you ever see a creation without a purpose? Did anybody ever saw a creation that was made for no reason? Every creation was made for a purpose. We never saw somebody just doing something for no reason. A table, you need to eat on it, you need to write on it. That's why they made it in that way. If they made 3 legs to it, 3 legs, what would happen? The table will be worthless. Nobody will buy it. Even for free. Just to carry it home, it's a waste of time. Why? It doesn't serve its purpose. Anything that was made, a camera has a reason, a clock has a reason, a chandelier, they design it in a way. It's all designed based on its needs. What's the purpose of it? So this world, to think that it was made for no purpose, it's also very foolish. There has to be a reason for that. Where is the reason? I was born in Honolulu, in Zimbabwe, in India. I walk around a goy on the street. Where is the purpose? How am I supposed to know why my Creator was made me? That leads me to the next step. What's the next step? Is it possible to think that the Creator of the world created a world, created the most important thing, which is human being, and did not ever tell them what was the purpose of the creation? Is it possible? Is it likely to think that He would create us and put us here, and we see all kinds of amazing things around us, and He will never bother to tell us what we were made for? So it's very unlikely to think that He would do such a thing. Comes the next step. Here start the lectures. I come and I claim that we receive a book from God. Creator of the world, He called Himself God, Elohim, Amunai, Shin, Daled, and Yud. He has all kinds of names, mercy, judgments, all kinds of things. He has a book. And He gave us this book. All we have to do is check the book. If we're going to be convinced that this is His book, and soon you're going to see how easy it is, then we must listen to it. Especially when the book is full of rewards and punishments. If the book did not have any rewards or any punishment, which means no obligation, no mitzvah, no commandments, just tell us the way of the creation. He tell us that we should eat healthy and give us all kinds of nice recommendations, but no reward and punishment. For sure, I wouldn't waste my time coming here tonight. And anybody, let him do whatever they want. But we have few problems with this book. Problem number one is that the book told us a very, very important secret. That this world, this material world, it's only one station in our journey. It's only a temporary test. and later we are going to go to a spiritual world, and over there we either gonna get rewarded or we're going to get punished. Why we deserve a punishment? Because we did not obey the rules of this Creator and we ignore His recommendation. But if we did, if we follow His orders, we're going to get a huge reward. Now, an intelligent person, when he hears such a claim, can he go to sleep at night like nothing happened? When someone revealed to you such a secret, there is a book somewhere in the world that claims that it's very easy to prove that it's the Word of God, and that book claims that someone who is going to live according to the rules of this book is going to inherit a huge spiritual reward, endless. Or, God forbid, going to get a huge punishment, also endless. One of the two, based on the choices that he's going to make. Now, as an intelligent person, when you hear such a thing, what do you think? Even if there's 1% chance that this claim it's true, I must clarify it. How can I live 60, 70 years for the future knowing there's a chance that I'm destroying my eternity with my own hands? How can I live? I must clarify, to relax. I must find one mistake in this book. This will release me from any obligation to the writer of this book. For instance, if this book will say that the Twin Towers collapsed in Brooklyn, that's enough. I don't need to listen to any of the rest of the nonsense. Why? Because it's not from God. God does not make such mistakes. He doesn't know where the towers collapse. Once I see an error, for sure it's not from God. Or even if it was received from God, it got mixed with humans' interference, human error. Because I don't know which parts are from God and which one is from people, I cannot rely on this book, therefore leave me alone. I'm not guilty, and finish. So far fair, everything I said? Anybody disagree with one thing of what I say, please stop me right here. So now all I have to do is dedicate an hour of my life to investigate if this book is human or it's divine. After I prove to myself that it's divine, what's the next step? What's the next step? After I know for sure, not 99.9%, 100%, no, not believe, know for sure that this is the Word of God. What's next?
To follow the book.
What's the most important, in emergency, an urgent thing for me to do right away, once I get out of this door? Right away. Not to wait for tomorrow. Tonight to start. What is it?
Study.
Very nice. Run quickly and start learning it. Reading it carefully from the beginning to the end. Make comments. Everything I don't understand, run to religious people that knows about it to explain me. See the commentators. Translation in Russian, translation in English. According to the easiest way for you to understand. Definitely not to go back to the routine. Going back to live the way it is. Because this is the worst thing. To get all the way to the well and see the water and not reaching out your hand and getting water to drink, what was the whole point of coming to the well? The point is, this is an opportunity once in a lifetime. This is what you're going to see in the next hour. Perhaps you'll never have an opportunity to see nowhere else. Why? At least here in America, I don't know of anybody else that give this kind of proofs. And even if they do it in a very minimal way, like here and there, once or twice. This is concentrate. And of course, after this lecture, you'll be able to go into my website. We have about 300 lectures over there. It's enough for you to learn almost from A to Z everything you need to do for the rest of your life. It's divineinformation.com. If you want, I'll give you my card after the lecture. You can go over there and learn everything you want. What is life after life? What is a soul? What's reincarnation means? Archaeology, dinosaurs, all the things you ever heard about this world, I address over there in the website. That's not the topic here tonight. Let's start to progress today. We have 80,000 religions and cults. 80,000. And it's keep going. The point is, the first religion is Judaism. Judaism started 3,318 years ago. All the other religions started after, such as Buddhism, 2,400 years ago. There was Buddha. He started it 2,400 years ago. That's 900 years after the Torah was given. Then we have Christianity, just a little bit less than 2,000 years old. Islam, less than 1,400 years old. Every cult that starts every week, every month, it's a one person come and tell us a story, or sometimes give us a book and claim that God gave it to him or an angel gave it to him. They all started after the Torah was given to the Jews. What's the main difference between Judaism to all the religions and cults that came after? There are many, many differences, but the major one that just tell us the difference between a false religion to a truth religion is one main difference. What is it? The only religion in history that started in front of millions of witnesses is Judaism, our Torah. No other religion started with witnesses. It was always a story of one person who came and told us a story and never even brought with him one witness. Not even one. For instance, when Muhammad came from the desert, just about 1,400 years ago, he claimed that Angel Gabriel gave him the Quran. How many witnesses to his story we had? Not even one. Right there, it started with 50% doubt. When we going to Christianity, Miriam, Mary, Maria, one day she wake up from a dream after she betrayed her husband. She became pregnant. She made up a story that God came to her in a dream. She's a virgin. Then they told her that's going to be the Mashiach, Messiah. How many witnesses we had to her story? Not even one. How many witnesses saw God and Moshe speaking in the mountain? Heard God speaking. 15 million people. They all heard the conversation that the creator of the world had with the human being, Moshe ben Amram, Moses. For the first and last time in history, God spoke to a person publicly. And the first two commandments that we have in the 10 commandments, I am the God that took you out of Egypt. That's the first commandment. Second commandment, you should not have any other God but me, because there's no other God. Those two commandments were heard publicly by 15 million people. Once God came to say the third commandment, the people, as you can read in Parashat Yitro, they started to die out of fear, started to shake. Please, go up there to the mountain and speak to God. We cannot handle this situation. It's scary. Fire, a noise of a shofar, the earth is shaking, smoke all over, such noise. They got very nervous. It's the end of the world for them. So they couldn't handle the situation. As the Torah described, they came to Moshe and say, listen, one more minute, we're all going to die here. And what his answer was, don't be afraid. God did not come to kill you. He came to test you. He's going to test you. Are you going to follow his orders or not? Read it in the Torah. Now you may ask me, that's what the books say. But how do I know that it really happens? Right? Anybody can sell us a beautiful story. Muhammad could also write in the Quran, we stood all the Muslims around the mountain and the angel came with light and there was noise and he gave us the Quran. How do I know? What do you say?
Who documented the story that you just
Oh, the Torah. It's in the Torah. Now how do I know that it really happened? I read it in the Torah. Maybe it's nonsense. Maybe somebody made it up. So before I start to show the proofs, it's very simple. Our religion, it's the most difficult religion to practice. It has a lot of orders, a lot of tradition, a lot of mitzvot, a lot of restrictions. Marriage is a complicated thing. A divorce is a complicated thing. Every day is eating, kosher, not kosher, blessing, not blessing. There's so many restrictions. There's hard work to improve our personality, such as pride, anger, and there are to observe the Sabbath. It's very expensive religion. It's much more expensive to become an observant Jew than a non-observant Jew. So you have all the reasons in the world to rebel against this religion. For sure, when someone comes to you out of nowhere with no proofs, without anything, and tell you, I want you today to become fully religious, fully orthodox, from A to Z. What's the chances you agree? Zero. Nobody will agree. But we have a fact in history. What is the fact? That millions of Jews one day in history all became religious. until one point before this religion started, they were all free people, and one day they became fully religious. Now we have few problems here. Problem number one, more than 80% of the orders here are against logic. They do not comply with human logic. It's the opposite of human logic. Some of them are cruel, for instance, sacrifices, killing animals non-stop. Doesn't make sense. Getting rid of a mother, a bird, from the nest and take the chicks out or the eggs, that the mother comes and see that the children are gone, that's a very cool thing to do. But it's one of the 613 orders that we have. Yes, you should not kill, you should not steal, it makes sense. But most of the mitzvot do not make sense. 1 week a year, do not have any breadcrumbs anywhere in a house, such a sin, or to eat bread or spaghetti, who cares? What's the benefits of this? To observe 1 day, you should not sew, you should not write, you should not cook, what's all this? What human being would even think to make such laws? Excuse my language, they're very weird, all these laws. No human being have any incentive, even if he's the biggest crook in history, to invent such a religion. When yet, all the time, a person came to fool a group of people, he had a personal incentive. How much money I'm going to make from them, how much they're going to love me, how much fame and glory I'm going to get, how many things I'm going to get out of this public. And yet, just think for a second, when Moshe brought that book to millions of people, if he wanted to fool them, what the first thing that he should have done? Create a very easy religion to practice. Not such a complicated one that everybody will fight with you non-stop. Make a very easy religion. What's your goal? To get money? So make everything almost allowed. Just make 5-6 laws that relates to donations, 10% from your income, to pray once a year. Everything is allowed to eat. Make a blessing once a year to God. You can marry as many times as you want. Almost like the Christians, everything allowed. Play the piano in a church, makes a little bit smoke, sing hallelujah, come to the priest once a year, give him $50, he say you're forgiven, and very easy life. Why we want such a impossible mission? It's defeat your purpose, not serving your purpose. That's one first thing to think about. Second, if you finally decided to make a difficult religion, you might as well make everything comply with human logic. Why would you want the people every time they come to do a mitzvah think that they are fool, that there's something wrong here? Why should I kill the animals? If I made a sin, I have to sacrifice an animal? Who cares if I have breadcrumbs? And so many others. What did we get by that? Why do you want the public to hate you so much, to think you're crazy? Give them an easy religion. That's second thing to think about. Third, since all the people that received the book, they were exactly like you. What was the first thing on their mind? How do we get rid of this problem? What can we do right now to get rid of this obligation that fell on our head now? Who wants to become like this? How do I stay secular Jew? Do whatever I want. I don't want to be religious. I don't want to be Shomer Shabbos. I don't want to be faithful to one woman. I don't want to do this. I want to steal. I want to fool the people. I have a smooth mouth. I fool the people. I'm a great salesman. I sell ice to the Eskimos. Now, I'm not going to be able to do what I was doing until now. So, how do I get rid of him? I find one mistake in the book. He claimed he got it from God. No problem. Fair deal. Let me read. I open up the book. What do I see? The book refers to me that I am a witness. I am a witness. The books claim to me, I'm reading, it's about me now, that I am a witness that God and Moshe spoke. If I wasn't a witness, if I never heard the voice of God, I would raise my hand nicely and say, excuse me, sir, you claim that God gave you this book? No problem. Explain me, please. Over here it says that all of us heard you and God speaking. And it says here that we got very nervous. And it says here that we begged you to go up to the mountain. I don't remember such a thing ever happened. It's a lie. Or it says that this God opened up the ocean for us and we went through. We were in Egypt, slaves. He opened up the ocean and we went through and the Egyptians drowned. We never saw such a thing. We were not even in Egypt. We don't see bread falling from heaven like this book claims. We don't see the whale is moving with us and supply us water in the desert. We don't see these clouds that's protecting us from the sun. We don't see all that. We didn't see blood in Egypt, frogs, hail, all these things that this book says. It's all nonsense. It's an illusion. What is this? You had a dream? Where did you bring us all these things from? But it's a fact that no matter how many miracles they read in a book, they still agree to accept all these weird laws. What's the conclusion? Soon we're going to prove it one by one, but I'm just going now to the end for a minute. I'm jumping. What's the conclusion? Something substantial had to happen to convince them to adopt such a law, such a book. What's the conclusion? Very simple. If they would not hear the voice of God, and one of the miracles in the book will not be authentic, will not be correct, then they will say, listen, you came to fool us, you came to destroy us. They would kill Moshe Rabbeinu in less than 5 minutes. And if you're still not convinced up to here, I'll give you a stronger proof. Until that moment, everyone was allowed to marry whoever he wants, except his mother, sister, grandmother, obvious things. But for instance, cousins are marrying until today, right? You know some cousins that marry. Everything is fine. And don't believe them that the kids are not normal. Believe me, they're very normal. I know many cousins that got married and they have wonderful kids. So that's one thing. But if I wanted to marry my aunt today, if I want to marry my father's sisters, let's say my father is 40 and I'm 20, and my father has a beautiful young sister, she's 18 years old. Today, if I want to marry my aunt, I'm allowed? No. What does the Torah say? You're not allowed to touch her. Definitely not to marry her. So, up to the moment that the Jews received the Torah in Mount Sinai, it was allowed. There's no restriction. Everybody lived together in a camp. I have an aunt. She's the sister of my father. She's a very wonderful woman. We grew up together. I want to marry her. Same thing like cousin. What's the difference? Thousands. Uncle is not allowed. Uncle is not allowed. Uncle is allowed even today. Uncle. But it's not traditionally we're not doing it. But Mordechai and Esther he was her uncle. Uncle is allowed. We're talking aunts now. I want to marry my aunt. Until the Torah was receiving, it was allowed. No problem. Now came the Torah down from the mountain. All the thousands of Jews that were married to their aunts now must divorce immediately. They have to leave their children. They have to break the house. Their marriage is finished right there. Even though they love, they live in harmony, their life were destroyed in a second. Because they open up the book and they read, Lo tegale ervat dodatcha, you cannot marry your aunt. So now they come. Now, not only that the religion annoyed them, not only that they cannot understand it logically, not only that now I have to change my life from A to Z, the worst thing is now I'm going to divorce my wife and leave my children even though I'm very happy with my marriage. Not only I'm stuck here in the desert, what reason do I have to comply and cooperate with this Moshe? If any, I should make such a fight against him, rebel against him, and kill him right away because he's the biggest threat to me and to my thousands of my friends. Because we're all in the same situation. But you know what's the biggest thing here? That who was Moshe Rabbeinu's father? Amram. Who was his mother? Yochevet. What was Amram to Yochevet? Uncle. I'm sorry, the opposite. Yochevet was his aunt. So Moshe brings the book. His parents are in the same problem. If you think that that's not convincing enough, wait. When he comes now to give, and he gives them the book, he's saying in few years, we're going to the land of Canaan, which is going to be the land of Israel. There are 7 empires sitting right there. The biggest armies in the world at that time. The Torah says, Aprizi, Yevusi, Knaani, Girgashi, Achivi, all these empires sitting with armies in Israel. We do not even have an army. We have babies, we have some sheep, goats. We come now from Egypt after 40 years in circles in a desert. We are going to enter the land, and all these empires will say, s'il vous plaît, Mr. Jew. Come on, my brother. Jew, here, no problem, we surrender. Shh. That's what the Torah promised. I'm going to kick them out of the land, throw them to hell, and give you the land, because I'm the master of the land. What were the odds that something like this can happen? Just think for a second. If I go to the Indians in Connecticut, those who recently got a casino over there, and I say, hey, the American Indians, those who the real American stole their land from them, okay? So how many of them you have? Let's say 10 million in the entire world. Let's say they all spread all over, but let's say I gather together 10 million Indians, Americans, and I come and I say, listen, I'm going to take you to the land of Russia. I'm going to give you Russia and Germany and France. All these armies are in the land of Russia. They're all going to surrender to you, to the 10 million Indians. They're all going to bow down to you. You're going to come and take their land in Russia. What is the chance? Thank you. What do I need that for? Okay, thank you. You read my mind, Rabbi. All right. I thought usually I'll give you a napkin. That means the cake is on the way. But I already tell you, don't send me a cake. So, yeah. So what's going on here? What is the Indians will laugh at me. What are you, fool? Where you came from? We can go and fight against 7 empires that sits in the land and win. So here you go. Test me. Am I the master of the land or not? Did it happen or not? History shows the Jews went to Egypt, to the Holy Land, and all these empires left the land. And we got it. We occupied it in the time of Joshua after Moshe's death. So there are things in this book that you gotta, if a human being wrote it, he has to be the craziest person ever lived. With such an imagination that million people together cannot imagine such things. What's the reason, I want to ask you, that our religion, more than 80% of the laws are not logical? We cannot understand their logic. Because it's above human. You understand? We begin now to get an idea here. There is human. If I was writing a book of law, I make sure everybody understand every detail. Why? That's my purpose. But if I'm God, if I'm a superpower, if I'm a spiritual thing, a spiritual, omnipotent, a divine thing, then I have different abilities, different level, which means my creation, the people, not necessarily can understand my brilliance. And if you still have doubts, the Torah itself says, "Ki lo machshevotai machshevotechem," my thoughts and your thoughts are not the same. My ways and your ways are different. My ways compared to your ways, it's like an eagle compared to a worm. So, what are you trying to understand me? You can do one thing at a time, and sometimes even that you cannot do. I do trillions of things every given second, all over the world. Everything connected. I supervise everything. All the generations that passed, all the generations that are future to be born, everything is always in front of me, and I never miss one detail. Because if I miss one part here, it's going to be a chain reaction that will never finish. There will not going to be any justice. If I missed one gunshot, that's all. It's a chain reaction. That's it. The world lost the supervision that he had until now. If I missed one asteroid that break from the stars every second, pieces are falling around Earth. If I missed if I went to sleep for half a second, the Earth will crash to billions of pieces and millions of people will die in a second. Everything that happens here is supervised in any given second. Multiply by how many creatures you have in this world. You want to understand me? You don't even understand why you missed the bus. The Torah writes about these things. So the Torah says, recognize your limitation. You want to be successful in life? You and God are not in the same level. Don't judge Him. Don't have complaints. And definitely don't make conditions or test Him and say, you give me this, I'll do this. It's not going to work. You're only hurting yourself. Let's move on with the proofs. As I told you, 80,000 religions and cults, each one of them started with the story of one person. And let's give an example. How do we know if a religion is correct, if it's really divine, or we know for sure that it's nonsense? Here is Islam. Islam, you have about 1.5 billion people, Muslims in the world. By the end of the lecture, it's probably going to be 1.6 billion. 1.7 billion, I should say. But it's fine. They're all fanatic about this religion, almost all of them. If they only knew what a foolish religion they follow, maybe they will hesitate. Here is one problem that we have. The Muslims and the Christians admit, they never denied the fact that the Jews received the Torah in front of millions of people. Actually, it's in their religion. It's written in the Quran and it's written in the New Testament. Not only they do not deny Judaism, they accepted all the Jewish prophets. If you go to the Hamas website, you see how much they praise all the prophets. Even King David, even Jacob, Israel, they write wonderful things, Abraham, Sarah, all of that. They just claim that after the destruction of the second temple, God gave the Jews 2 chances, and once the second temple destroyed, it's a proof that God left the Jews. They ignore in many places that the Torah promised that God is binded to the sword that He swore to Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, that He'll never replace their descendants with any other nation. Even if they deserve it, He will still never get tired from the Jews to leave them completely. So the Torah promised that the Jews and God, it's a marriage forever. But they ignored parts of the Torah, and they started with the theory that God left us and gave them another book. Let's see how easy it is to prove that their book is nonsense. For instance, since they admit that the Torah is the word of God, then the New Testament or the Quran must be a continuation of the Torah because it's from the same God. Cannot be contradictions, and they admit. In that case, please explain me that in the Quran, in Surah 28, that's what it says. Paro and Haman and their advisor were wicked people. And Paro said, my servants, I know that you have no God but me. And then he told Haman, light the fire and create for me a tower that I can go up to look to to watch the God of Moshe, because I think he's a liar. This story is already, you can see right away that is somebody with a brain like a kindergarten wrote it. But the worst part here, who knows how many years were between Paro and Haman? Almost 1,000 years difference. That fool that copied from the Torah, parts of the Torah, and then when he came to Megillat Esther and he saw the name Haman, he put up the story between Paro and Haman. He just didn't realize that there was 1,000 years difference between them. So there is no way Paro was able to ask Haman to light a fire for him or to create a tower. It got mixed with 2 different stories. If this is not enough, then another problem is the wife of Paro, according to the Quran, in Surah 28, verses 7 to 9, this is what it says. And the wife of Paro, she said, this baby will be comfort for me and for you. Do not kill him. It's going to be a help for us. So, what else? That instead of the daughter of Paro, Batya Bat Paro, that raised Moshe, they said that the wife of Paro raised Moshe. What happened to God? He forgot who was the mother that adopted Moshe. Here it says that it's the daughter of Paro. Here it became all of a sudden his wife. But if this is not enough, what are you going to say about this? The Virgin Mary, she is the sister of Moshe and Aaron. Who is the sister of Moshe and Aaron? Miriam. How many years between the Miriam, the sister of Moshe, to Miriam, the mother of J.C. Penney? How many years? 1,300 years. What a fool. The person who wrote this book, not only that is a crook, is a complete ignorant. Complete ignorant. My little 6-year-old boy knows better than him, Torah. And that's just show you how by now, almost 2 billion people follow this nonsense. By the way, if I had time, I would show you that in the Quran it says that the Holy Land belongs to the Jews. And also that Muhammad told them to love the Jews and to do business with them, and even his wife was Jewish, and his best friend was Jewish, and he gave him his weapon to watch for him. And he said you can do business with the Jews because they don't collect interest. And they don't eat pork because it says in the Torah. And there's no word about Jerusalem that is a holy place to Islam. Nothing. Only in the last generation they started to be jealous with the Jews that have Jerusalem and starting to fight for Jerusalem. But in the Quran, it's only speaking about Mecca. Nothing about Jerusalem. So just show you that this is religion that designed by politicians. They have a mission to destroy the Jews because they are the descendants of Ishmael. And they are designing their religion according to their goal. Their goal is to destroy the Jews, to steal the land from them. Therefore, every week they invented something new in their religion. But when you read it, here you see, well, Maria, the daughter of Amram. Maria wasn't the daughter of Amram. She was born 1,300 years later. Stand foolish mistakes. There's many other mistakes. There's no time. Let's show you a little bit from Christianity. First, Christianity has one foundation in it, that Jesus will come and be the Messiah. You have to believe in him. If you don't believe in him, you're not going to be saved. This is what the religion is all about. Worshipping this idol that called J.C. Penney. But in that case, we have a big problem. Because if he's the Son of God like they're claiming, we have a very big problem. In the New Testament it starts, they describe all the descendants from King David until they reach Joseph the carpenter that got engaged with Mary. And when he comes back after a few months, he sees she's pregnant, she says, I'm a virgin, no man ever touched me, God came to me in a dream, no problem. Let's buy that story for a second. Let's not put doubts in the story. Let's assume this story really happened. We have a big problem. What is the problem? Who is the mother of JC? Mary. Who is the father? Who is the father?
Joseph.
When you ask the Pope, who is the father? What is his answer going to be? God. Son of God. Is God a grandson of King David? Huh? So why did you waste almost a whole full page to prove that Joseph is the grandson of King David? Because you wanted to show that JC is the Mashiach, Messiah. Because the Torah says Mashiach ben David. Mashiach has to be from the family of King David. So they wanted to link Joseph to King David. But then right after that, they themselves write that Joseph is not the father. Such a foolish mistake. Or JC told them, do not think that I came to contradict the Torah. I came to fulfill the Torah. No one is allowed to erase one letter from the Torah. If somebody will erase one letter from the Torah and teach others, he will be cursed in the kingdom of heaven. In that case, why they don't keep all the Torah? If their Messiah told them no one is allowed to change one word from the Torah, you must do everything the Torah says, in that case, why they don't listen to him? They must keep the Torah. You know why? Because it's not easy. They're looking for easy life. What could be easier that all your religion is talking about one person that is a myth? Nobody even know if he was exist even. No indication about him. He couldn't even help himself. The Romans killed him, butchered him. He couldn't even help himself, but they believe he's going to save the world.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Is it his mistake that people followed him in terms of like
It started 7 years after he died, so it's a little bit hard to blame him only. But the point is that his mistake was that he started to rebel against the rabbi. Even though the New Testament says clearly that he told them follow the rabbis, because they sit on Moses' chair, and they receive the Torah from generation to generation. When his students had problems and he told them that they are allowed to violate the rules of Shabbat, he told them, I am the master of the Shabbat, and he started to curse the rabbis. That was the beginning of a cult that started to go against the rabbis and against the Torah. So what do you expect? After 7 years, he was their hero. But I'll give...
the proof that he said that? I'm not trying to...
Watch my debate. I have all the proofs there. Watch the debate in my website. The debate against the Christian professor, then you see all the proofs there. We don't have time to focus on that too much. The reason I'm showing it to you, not because I think you want to join Christianity, I just want to give you an indication. In less than 5 minutes, you can see that a religion that has 2 billion followers, it's such nonsense, and they control half of the world with their nonsense and full so many ignorance. And we have the only valid religion, we're doing God a favor that we're willing even to read it. That's the absurd here. And you're going to see soon what I mean. So here, this is the Torah. The Torah says that Abraham bought the cave to bury his wife. It's in Hebron. He bought it from Ephron, a Hittite. And the Torah also said that the father of Shechem that raped Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, his name was Hamor. There are a few things that the nation of Israel went to Egypt with 70 people. But let's see what mistakes the New Testament have. First, they say that Jacob and his children went to Egypt and died over there, and they took them to Nablus, not to Hebron, and buried them over there in a grave that Abraham bought from who? Instead of Ephron, from the children of Hamor in Nablus. 2 mistakes, 2 critical mistakes. Abraham bought it from Ephron, not from Hamor or from Shechem. That's one stupid mistake. Plus, it was in the city of Hebron, not in the city of Nablus. It's not in Shechem. So God doesn't know where Abraham was buried or Jacob. Such foolish mistakes. So obviously it shows you that this book was never ever given by God. Let's move on. In our Torah, which was given 1300 years before Christianity and 1800 years before Islam, the Torah already told us that there will be 2 fakers, Christianity and Islam. How did the Torah know? The Torah was 1300 years before Christianity. The Torah, the creator of the world, the writer of the Torah, Hashem Yitbarach, he gave us codes inside this sentence in Sefer Dvarim chapter 4. It says that the Jews will not follow the Torah, will not last for long life. They will be destroyed. And God will spread the Jews in all the nations. And only few of them will survive. And you're going to follow different gods over there. The work of a man, it's a man-made God. Wood and stone. What's the wood? The cross. What's the stone? The stone in Mecca, in Saudi Arabia. That those gods cannot see, cannot hear, cannot do anything. Okay? No problem. You take this yud, you count 50 letters, you get to this shin. You count 50 letters in equal skip. It's a secret code hidden inside the text. Planned. Yud, 50 letters. Shin, 50 letters. Vav, you get Yud, Shin, Vav. Who is that? JC. How do you say JC in Hebrew? Yeshu. And if you want to know an indication about Islam,
What's JC?
JC Penny.
Disease.
Yeah.
You guys are talking like in a different language.
I don't even want to mention his name too much, so that's why I made him a name. I gave him a nickname. I gave him a nickname.
At the beginning, so you can follow.
All right, no problem. Here. Now, Mecca, Mem, 50 letters. Chaf, 50 letters. Hey, Mecca, the city of Mecca. So the 2 symbols of Christianity and Islam, which is the cross, the JC and Mecca, are hidden inside the Torah in equal skip of 50 letters.
But why 50 letters?
It's actually 49, 7 times 7. Why? It didn't have to be 50. It could be 20, it could be 100, as long as it's an equal skip. That's a whole lecture called Codes in the Torah. It's not the time, we don't have the time for everything today. This I'm going to skip. I wanted to also prove to you that they have more than 150,000 different texts to their books with so many changes. You don't even know which one was the original one. So even if it was given by God, you don't really know which one is the original one. Or Islam have hundreds of Qurans. Which one was God's word? You'll never know. Of course, none of them were God's word. But even if it was, it's gone. So there's no way to follow these religions because they don't have one book. They have hundreds or 150,000 different New Testament. But we have the same Torah. Even though everybody ran after us, to destroy our Torah, we are double or triple on the time. Nobody ran after them to destroy their book. Neither Christianity or Islam. But they made so many mistakes copying the books. And we have the same Torah. Go to Poland, same Torah. Go to Bukhara, same Torah. Go to Russia, same Torah. Go to Israel, same Torah. Come here to the synagogue, same Torah. Same Torah. No mistakes. Why? God is protecting His original book. All the rest is nonsense. Let them write whatever they want. All right. Now, just to give you an idea, there are 2 billion Christians, 19% Muslims. By the end of the lecture will be 20%. Hindu 13%, 5% Buddhists, and Jews 0.025%. 1/50th of a percent. Take 1% from the world, divide it to 50. This is the amount of Jews. How much is that in numbers? 13.2 million Jews. That's all. And the whole world is speaking non-stop about the Jews. Everywhere you go, France, the Jews. England, the Jews. America, the Jews. Israel, the Jews. Russia, the Jews. The whole world is around this small nation. Nobody ever said a word in the last 50 years about the American Indians. There are more than 13.2 million. Nobody speaks about them. All the other nations like this, like in Scandinavia, they have all kinds of... Nobody cares about them. Nobody even speaks about them. But the Jews, everywhere you go. Plus the Jews have the key positions in every country where they live. Why? Because the Torah promised that that's going to be the case. Just to give you an idea, in the United States alone, we have a lot of doctors, many doctors. Jews are 2% from the population. The Goyim are 98% from the population. The 98% of the Goyim and the 2% of the Jews contributed the same amount of doctors to the United States. So that means 50% of the doctors in America are Jews. And they came from the 2%. And from the 98%, the same amount of number. Same in lawyers, in many other things. Why? It's not coincidence. Now let's start to give the proof. So far, I gave some proofs, but this is real proofs now. This is things that nobody can contradict. First, the Torah say to every Jew, I'm going to make it a little bit shorter, because we don't have that much time. The Torah promised in these words, go and check in history, did ever a group of people claim that I came to them and spoke to them? God is speaking. You will never find any group of people that claim that I spoke to them. Even if they're lying. Just the fact that they claim that I came to speak to them, it will be the first lie in the Torah. It will be the end of Judaism. The writer of the Torah, 3,318 years ago, committed himself to an impossible vision. Impossible. He said, from now until the end of the world, there will never be a group of people that claim that I spoke to them. How many times, from the moment the Torah was written and given to the Jews, how many times people came and claimed that they received a book from God? 80,000 times. Not one of them brought an extra person with him. There was always one person. That's all. One person. Muhammad alone. Mary alone. Buddha alone. Everyone is alone. All it needed, that tomorrow one person from India will come and say, oh, me and my 10 cousins were in a mountain over there and God spoke to us. Even though we're liars, or maybe they took LSD or whatever. But we will have a problem. Knowing they're lying, we will still have a problem. Why? Because the Torah didn't say that physically it will not happen. No. Pay attention to the words. The Torah says, did anybody ever claim such a thing? Not that it will not happen. For sure it will not happen. But I will not let anybody ever bring a group of people to testify that I spoke to them. There will be only one. Why? One, it's right away 50-50. Use your head. You see it's nonsense. Why Muhammad didn't give $100 to each one of his friends, cousins, and tell them, here, read this, learn this, and tomorrow I'm coming to say that the angel gave me the Quran. After you're going to say that you saw it and we all fell down on the floor, each one of you will get from me a few $1,000s, and it will be the end of Judaism. Why didn't say it? Why none of them brought witnesses? Believe me, he wasn't an idiot. He was very charismatic. He knew how to talk to the people. Why didn't they bring witnesses? Isn't it a mandatory thing to bring witnesses to your story? Fake witnesses, an alibi, that they know that you were there? Why didn't do it? You know why? Who knows why? Because once you bribe witnesses, you are in their hand for the rest of your life. Why? What happened tomorrow? He wants $1 million from you after you're in power. Listen, if you're not giving me $1 million now, I'm going to say that you bribed us to say this false testimony. They're not foolish, but the Torah promise. You see, 80,000 times these words of God here were tested, and it was always correct. This is one proof. Let's move on. I'm going to skip some. Okay, now there are many ways to prove that the book, the Torah, is the word of God. Many ways. One is through the way it was written. Second, all the hidden codes that leaves no doubt that a man could never hid inside so many thousands of equal skips without changing the historical story. Because it's the same story as it really happened in reality, but inside there's so many different stories in equal mathematical skip. It's impossible to do. Even one page we could not do. Even with computers. Even take all the genius people in the world today, they couldn't do it. But the Torah is full of it. It leaves no doubt that a superpower wrote that book. Prophecies. No religion ever gave a prophecy. The Muslims call Muhammad the Prophet Muhammad. You heard that, I'm sure. Or next time when you hear it, tell them, please show me one prophecy Muhammad gave. If you're going to find one prophecy in the Quran, I'll buy you a weekend in the fanciest hotel whenever you choose. Why? There's no prophecies in the Quran. So why 1.5 billion Arabs fooling us? They call him the Prophet Muhammad. Why they get angry that in Denmark they made all kinds of drawing against him? He's not a prophet. He fooled them real good. But no prophecy. In Christianity there's one prophecy. How come? If a liar wrote it, how come there's prophecies? Prophecies is very difficult to give. Don't get nervous. It's a false prophecy. It says over there that the Jews will never go back to the Holy Land. Did we go or not? We went. Here you go. One prophecy they gambled and gave, and it's proven as a false prophecy. But the Torah, I'll make a deal with you. Every page you open, I'll find you a prophecy there. Anybody, Rami, you can bring, let them open. I'll find every page you open, you see prophecies. What is it, a prophecy? I can give you a beautiful prophecy, and I promise you I'll be right. In 20 years from now, between 2 and 3 in the afternoon, on 5th Avenue in Manhattan, there will be more than 100 yellow cabs driving on 5th Avenue, between 42nd Street to 50th Street. There will be more than 100 yellow cabs between 2 and 3 in the afternoon. I guarantee. I'm willing to swear on it. 30 years from now, when you'll be old people, you see that I was right. Is that makes me a prophet? Why not? Why not? It happens every hour. Right? If I'm coming and I'm saying, in 50 years from now, in Nevada, over there, it's going to be a nuclear place, a base, under the ground. It's going to be 100 feet under the ground. It's going to be like this. It's going to be like that. And really, after 30 years, they have such a thing over there. Does that mean I'm a prophet? No. Maybe I'm a friend of the Minister of Defense. Maybe one of the generals that in this program told me the secret. That doesn't make me a prophet. But if I say, in 1,000 years from now, in the first day of the month of Tishrei, it's going to be pink rain falling from the sky with fire. Does that makes me a prophet or not? If I was right, yes. The Torah is full of prophecies that each one of them is more against all the odds than the other. These prophecies, first of all, you need a great imagination to think about such scenarios. But even though, finally, when you wrote those prophecies, the chances that they will be correct is 1 to 1 trillion. Impossible. For instance, to claim that a small nation will come and occupy the Holy Land and 7 empires will surrender and leave, there's not even 1% chance. To claim that the Western world will never collapse, even though the other 3 fell down few times already, and all the Gentiles always wanted to destroy this area, and there was an earthquake, there's wars non-stop, Jerusalem full of wars in history, and the wall is still standing even when the Babylonians destroyed the Bet HaMikdash. Why would they want to leave a wall of the Bet HaMikdash, of the Holy Temple? It's the last thing they would like to do. I came to destroy the church. I'm going to leave the cross hanging there? What's the point? The Torah promised, if they would knock down that wall, Judaism will be over. Who protected the wall? God. It's a prophecy in the Torah. Not once. First, second, third, Babylonians, then the Greeks, then the Romans. How many times? What's the chances? Just imagine if I told you in this house, you can knock down this wall and this and that, but that wall, nobody can knock it down. So she's going to say, what do you mean? I'm going to bring a hammer now in 5 minutes and knock it down. Maybe not me, but my brother. So what's the point? What's going to be? What's my chances to be right? Who are you going to put your money on? Her or me? For sure her. But if you're going to see that she cannot knock it down, how is it possible? Then you really appreciate what I said, no? It's impossible. Torah promised. Who's going to take such a risk? What human being will gamble in such an impossible thing? And to be right after 2,000 years? And this is 1 out of thousands. Let's see some of them. First, a Jew is allowed to eat everything that is kosher. What's kosher? If you take something out of the ocean, certain things are kosher, certain things are not. Shrimps, not kosher. Shark, not kosher. Scorpions, not kosher. Why? How do you know what's kosher and what's not? There is more than 40,000 different kinds of fish. Am I supposed to know all the fish to know which one is kosher and which one is not? I do not know even 10 kinds of fish. 10 species I hardly recognize. Now you're going to show me 40,000 different kinds, and I'm supposed to know, to remember which one is allowed, which one is not allowed? Hashem knows your limitation, and He made a formula. Very simple. Everything needs 2 signs, 2 witnesses. What are the 2 signs if it's kosher or not? If it has fins and scales, it's kosher. If it doesn't, it's not kosher. Now my life is very easy. I caught a fish. I never saw him before. Oh, I scratched it. Scales are falling. Oh, it has fins. Kosher. One thing we should know, that the oral Torah were given to us with the written Torah in the time of the desert together. Why we need an oral Torah? Judaism, 99.999% of Judaism is the oral Torah. All the instructions how to do the laws, it's all orally. The written Torah just named the name of the mitzvot, that's all. It does not give you one instruction how to do it. You don't know by reading the Torah how to put tefillin. It only says that you need a sign on your head, on your hand. Where? Which hand? It doesn't say. Where in the hand? It doesn't say. What sign? Black, yellow, not. What's inside? Thousands of instructions how to make tefillin. The Torah does not speak about it. The Torah only say you should have a sign on your hand. It's a covenant. That's all. Where is the instructions? Not in a book. The Torah say you have to observe Shabbat. I hear you over there. It's okay. You can speak louder. Don't worry. So, people think that the more they will whisper, we're not going to hear them. Yeah, we hear you. Because if he hears you, we have to hear you also. Don't worry about it. It's okay. So the point is, what the Torah says, you have to observe the Sabbath. A Jew that does not observe the Sabbath will be executed, and I'll cut his soul out of the permanent world to come. Cannot enter to my world. That's what the Torah says. Where does it say how to keep Shabbat? Nowhere. Is it possible? Very simple. The Torah said, these are the Torahs, plural, the written and the oral, and the laws and the commandments that I put in the hand of Moses in Mount Sinai. And another place in the written Torah it says, make this temporary Mishkan, the temporary house of God, as I showed you in the mountain. In the Torah, it's only give us instruction. But the written Torah said that God told Moses, the way I showed you a movie, how it's supposed to look. That's what the written Torah said. But where in the written Torah it says how he showed it to him, nobody knows. It just said that he showed it to him. So we see that there are information that he gave him in a mountain that are not in the written book. Why? First, the size of the book will be from here to Manhattan, with all the laws in one book. We will not be able to carry it. Second, God didn't want the Goyim, the non-Jews, to have all the secrets. If a non-Jew will have one book in his hand, with everything from A to Z, what's going to be the next thing? The same way that after the Jews received the Torah right away, everybody translated it to their languages, 70 different languages in the first generation that the Torah was given. Everybody wanted to have a part with this book of God. That's why we call the nation of the book, Am HaSefer. Right? So everybody wanted to know what God wants from us, the creation of the world. It made a huge impact. If they have all the laws, they'll make tefillin, they circumcise the baby, they put talit, tefillin, they raise beard. Beard everybody has at that time, so it will be very easy to pretend you're a Jew. And today, nobody in the world would know if he's a Jew or not. Anyway, nobody knows. Imagine, in the time of the Torah was given, all the non-Jews will pretend they're Jews. And they get assimilated with the Jewish nation. What's the purpose of giving the Torah? God didn't want the Goyim to have the Torah. The opposite. The Torah said that a Goy that learns Torah must be executed. That's what it says. Or a Goy that kept Shabbat must be killed. Why? It's a covenant only, it's a gift that I gave only to my children, not to them. It says clearly in the Torah. Let's give you an indication why they hate us so much. Because if I would be a Goy, how wouldn't I get offended? When I open up the book, clearly, black on white, it says, I love Jacob and I hate Esav. Or the juice for me is like the water, and the Goyim for me is the drops that stick to the bucket. That when you throw it, when you bring water from the well, the water is the Jews, and the drops are the Goyim. Or it says that when you have a weight on a scale, the weight is the Jew, and the crumbs that fall over the ears, the 1 gram in a corner, it's the Goyim. So many examples. Or it says, you are my children. I chose you from all the nation to be mine. Do not imitate the Gentiles. Don't eat from their hand. Don't marry them. Don't give your son to the daughters or your daughters to their son, because they'll remove you away from me. Don't follow their God. Destroyed everything they have. Purify the land from their impurity, and so many bad things. They read about it. What do you expect? So there are 2 kinds of Goyim. Some that gets very angry and anti-Semite when they read it, and some, not only that they don't get angry, they appreciate the Jews even more. They say, you are the chosen people. I heard it from hundreds of Goyim until today. It says, bottom line, you are from the chosen nation and I'm not. He says, the Goy. But you have in Israel Jews that are trying to say the opposite. Let's be like the Goyim. They're better than us. Understand? Ignorance. Ignorance is very painful. Once, when I started to work on a computer a few years ago, I didn't know anything about computer. Even when I was in business, everybody has a computer in his desk. My desk was from 20, 30 years ago, all papers. I hate computer. I didn't want to even hear about it. After I was giving lecture, I saw that every speaker today have a laptop. And my friend was pushing me, get a laptop, PowerPoint, easy life, you don't have to carry all this suitcase. Finally, I had no choice. I started to work on computers. Then I learned that there's a way to send emails to people. People who didn't come to the lecture, you get their email, you send them the lecture to their house. So I didn't know there's a way to send 1,000 emails in one press of a button. I didn't know, so I was putting the email, pressing send. Reading out the email, pressing send. I got lucky. My friend one day walked into my house. He said, "What are you doing?" So I'm sending emails to people. I said, "You want to tell me that you're giving all these people one by one and you spend all your day just to send emails?" I said, "Why? Well, how can I do it?" He said, "Look, 5 seconds. Here, give me the list. Where is all your list?" "Oh, they all got it already." So then I realized something very interesting about life. Ignorance, not only in religion, in everything in life, it's the biggest enemy to our life. The more ignorant you are in that territory, you are paying the price. Same thing accountants. If you take an accountant from 30 years ago, he's not up to date. He's lazy. He's not reading all the renewals of the laws of the IRS. They keep coming with bonuses. If you have an extra boy, now they're giving a bonus because the economy is very bad and not the rebate. He's not up to date. He doesn't know. He remembers the laws from 10, 15 years ago. If he's not up to date, that he knows every week they're changing the laws over here. If you're in this bracket, then it's very painful. You pay, you deserve to get, now they give credits to yeshivot. Did you know that? If your income is below a certain number, they give you, I think, $500 or $1,000 bonus for every one of your children. So if you have 4 or 5 children, you get like $3,000, $4,000 just because they go to private school. But not that many accountants knows about it. When I told it to my accountant that they sent it from the school, he didn't even know about it. So what do you see? Ignorance is very bad. The most important thing in life is the book of my Creator that instructed me what recommended to do and what not, and I do not know even one line in it. What could be a bigger tragedy than that? I don't know what's allowed to dress, to wear, or what not allowed. What allowed to be eaten, what not allowed. What allowed to be spoken, what's not allowed. Every second of my life is a mistake. Because of what? Laziness. Never read, never checked. Live like a goy. Baseball, Super Bowl, beach, shopping, Macy's, that's life. Remember, if the creation were made for people to enjoy from this physical world, that was the purpose of life, the Creator will make all of us enjoy from that world. But in reality, 98% of the people on this earth are miserable. Nobody can argue with that. Divorce, sicknesses, no children, bad children, drug problems, workaholic, alcoholic, IRS problem. Every out of each American, 1 out of 100 Americans is in jail. That's the statistic. 1% of the people in this country sitting in jails, federal jails, white-collar jails. You understand what we're talking here about? 2 million people are in jails. And those who are not in jail, they are in jail in their life. 2 hours traffic in the morning, 2 hours traffic at night. Problems, doctors, surgery, extra work. Not 1 day of pleasure. Even you want to go on vacation, you got to carry 10 suitcases. The kids drive you crazy. Your son disappeared in the airport. You missed your connection. So many problems in life. 30 years you work like crazy that you're going to buy an apartment in Queens. After 30 years, like a slave.
That's life.
It's better to be a chimpanzee.
What are you laughing?
Better. Give me one reason why it's better to be us and not a monkey in a safari. Psh, what a great life he has. He wake up whenever he wants. Doesn't have to go to shul to stand an hour and beg. He doesn't have to stand an hour in freezing waiting for the bus. Nobody push him in a bus. If he stands by the door, nobody gives him an argument before the day even started. By the time he comes to work, his crazy, angry boss looks at him, wants to kill him. All day he works with customer, abusing him on the phone. Finally he come home, and now gas and tolls, what he paid today is 50% of what he made. By the time he bought lunch, by the time he paid the gas and the tolls, he came home with $40. And just when he got home, his wife put her hand on the $40. And why isn't it better to be a monkey? They have whatever they want. The dogs. Let's look at the dogs. Follow the dogs in the neighborhood. They have steaks, pizza, Chinese for free. They have to choose from the garbage. They rip the bag. Oh, Chinese today, for free. The dog doesn't suffer when he eats the steak, the leftover. He's not suffering. For him it's delicious. He sucks the bones, delicious meat. He doesn't have to go shopping, no vaccine every week, no raising the children, the babies. As soon as the female gives birth to a little doggy, 2 minutes later he plays soccer. Fish. As soon as he's born, he swims. He swims, he hunts, everything is ready. Ah, the Torah says a secret. What's the secret? The Torah says we are less than the animals in everything. They're always better than us. In everything physical, every low-life animal is better than us. As we have one advantage. What is it? The divine soul. What do I need it? What do I need a divine soul? Let me be a chimpanzee without a divine soul. You understand what the problem is? Each one of us is dying to get what the chimpanzee have from the moment he's born. Why most people come to America? For the nightclubs of Manhattan, for the fancy life, for the materialistic life, for Hollywood, for this, for that, for fashion, for all the nonsense. The animals have it free of charge. They don't have all this problem. How many females this chimpanzee have? Every tree has a wife waiting for him. He jumps from this wife to the... He doesn't have to buy her a drink, doesn't have to fix his hair. He doesn't have all this. Great life. What? If you ask a man, what's your dream? To have as many ladies as I can. The dog has it. For free. As much as he wants. So what? So why it's better to be a person? The answer is, the Torah says it would be better off to be an animal. Why? They have everything you dream to have right away. So what's the conclusion? We made people, and the world was created for us. The animals, we slaughter them, we kill them, we use them. They're all under our supervision, our control. So we are divine. We have a spiritual divine soul. So what do we need it? What's the rest of the sentence? Mutar adam min habehema ayin. There's no advantage to the human being on the animal at all, except one. The divine soul that is going to be judged in front of God after life. That's all. Purpose of life in 1 second. Why it's going to be judged? Why? So now it's even better more to be a dog. The dog doesn't have to be judged. What are you coming to tell me? That I'm better than the dog because I have a soul and I'm going to be judged? What did you answer me here? The answer is yes. Why are you going to be judged? Because you have a free choice. You have a free choice. You're not a robot. The animals live by instinct. A tiger always gonna attack the zebra. Always. There's no way to convince him to wait a day. Wait an hour, brother. Leave the zebra alone. For 1 hour, we need to take a picture of it. Eat it in an hour. Give me an hour just to finish my pictures. There's nobody to talk to. He's hungry. It's going to attack him no matter what. The animals are programmed. They live based on a routine. It's all instinct. Fire, they run away. A tiger is on the way, they begin to run. Noise. Everything, it's like a robot. No tiger were ever put in jail because he killed a zebra or a goat. No fox was put in jail because he swallowed the chickens. No snakes was put in jail because he swallowed the eggs. But a person that killed another person is going to jail for the rest of his life. Why? Because even those who deny God's existence, even those who don't believe in the book of God, even the communists and the atheists, they have jails in their hometown. Why? Because they all admit that there's a free choice. You could have become a better person. You could not rape. You could not murder. You could have avoided. Since you did not, you deserve a punishment. And that's the purpose of life. The Torah says, I'm giving you the life and the good, the death and the bad, and you should choose the good. Which means you can choose the bad. And in the end, it's going to be reward or punishment. So everybody asks, why we don't get the reward right away and the punishment right away? If you told me that somebody who light fire on the Sabbath, on the 7 days, is going to be executed and leave his part to the world to come, you cannot have it, cannot enter over there, is going to be punished severely for that. This is what the Torah says in 12 different places. Why when people light the car on Shabbat, they start the car, or they smoke, or they watch television, which is also fire, electric, why they don't get killed, like the book promised? Or why when someone gives charity to the poor people, sometimes a year later you hear that he lost all his money. Or someone who steals money makes even more money. Someone who his business is open on Shabbat, he's a millionaire. But the rabbi drive a 1998 car that worth $2,000 if he's lucky. Where is the justice? No, so what's the answer? If everything will work like computer, you gave tzedakah, charity, oh, you made double. You stole, you lost double. You hit somebody, you gave him one punch, somebody came, gave you two. You murdered, you get killed. You saved someone's life, tomorrow somebody saves your life. Everything will be in the same timing. Who wouldn't be righteous? Where is the test? The Torah says life is a test. I'm giving you the good and the bad, you should choose the good. Sometimes you can swear that the bad is better for you. Well, Rabbi, I'm working on Shabbat, I make $1,000 every day net on Shabbat. The business is booming. Of course, you fool. What do you want? The Shabbat will be a very slow day? So why you should open the store? Go be home with your wife. Of course, the evil inclination will make the business on Shabbat 10 times greater than the rest of the week. That's the test. But I am the one who supply you with food and oxygen. I'm not limited to give it to you through your store. I can give it to you in different ways. But you don't have faith in me. So why? You go, you steal, and I show you that it's very good business to steal. Look, the more you steal, the more money you have. What happened in the end? You're going to pay for everything you stole double, plus the rest of the punishments you're going to get. Why it's not, God, if you give it to me in the first time I stole, believe me, I will learn my lesson. But you wouldn't deserve a reward. Because even Arafat will not steal that when he stole, he lost his hand. Everybody who started the car on Shabbat will explode on fire. After 2 incidents, everybody will freeze on Shabbat. Let's now move. I saw 2 people light a cigarette, they went on fire. So everybody will be Shomer Shabbos. Will deserve a reward? What reward? You're a robot. You got it? The Torah says no. God told Adam, the day you eat from the tree, you'll die. Read in the Torah. He ate from the tree. He did not die. How many years after he lived? 930 years after he ate from the tree, only he died. But God told him, the day you eat from the tree, you'll die. But he did not die. Why? Free choice. You don't get punished right away. I have patience. Everything is recorded. You cannot escape from it. Torah say, Ain Ro'ah, there's an eye who watch over you, as a ear that hears everything you say, and everything you do is being registered in a book of God. Sof davar hakol nishma, in the end of your life, everything will be reheard. Listen, you're going to listen to everything. Et ha'elokim yirah, fear your God and respect Him and keep His mitzvot, because this is the only reason why you were created for. The Chachamim 2,000 years ago, Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel in the Talmud, for 2.5 years, they had a philosophical argument. Will it be better off for a person to be born or not? After 2.5 years, they agree unanimously. It would be better off not to be created. but now we were created. Statistics show that most people are losers when it comes to spirituality. That's statistic. You cannot argue with the numbers. Most people are wicked. They don't listen to the laws of God. So they came to the conclusion it would be better off not to be created. After 2.5 years, they agree. So now they say, since we were created, it's not in our hand, nobody asked us, we might as well pass the test. Why should we lose twice? Now we're already here. Nobody asked me. You have a way out of here with something in your hand. Take the advantage on your opportunity. Why are you going to lose twice? Here, life is not a picnic. At least you have a life of eternity. You wanna be here twice to lose this life and the important life after? So now what's the proof here? The Torah says that a Jew is allowed to eat everything in the oceans, everything. We don't have that much time left. I'm going to show some of the proofs, maybe 2 or 3 slides and we'll finish. This is what you're going to eat in everything in the water. Which water? He did not say. No specific water. 72% of the world is water. And he did not speak about fish. This could be anything. Everything that have fins and scales you're allowed to eat. Comes the oral Torah. As I told you, the oral Torah explains everything from the written Torah. Without it, there's no way to understand it. Everything that have scales must have fins. 7 words. That's it. You don't need more than that. If you're clever, that's your proof right here. Everything that have scales must have fins. You know what it means here? This was written close to 2,000 years ago. 2,000 years ago in a Mishnah, which was given to us 3,318 years ago. What does it say? No matter what kind of thing you're going to get out of the water, of the oceans, in the lakes, in the rivers, everywhere, if you saw in the body scales, I promise you that it's going to have fins. Guarantee. You don't need to check for the second size. Which means if somebody cut a fish in a way that you don't see the fins, he cut the fins out. He just give you a piece of raw fish, not cooked, and you see scales on it, but you don't see the fins. You're in jail. They give you a piece. Cook it for yourself. You don't need to see the fins. The Torah promise, if it has fins, scales, must have fins. What does it mean, ladies and gentlemen? What does it mean? That if we're going to find one thing in the oceans that have scales and did not have fins, it's the end of Judaism. Finish. The Holocaust, the Shema Israel, the Jews that jumped to the oceans, the destruction of Beta, everything was a waste of time. Why? It's the first mistake in the Torah. What human being could even dream to write such a thing? And the time that it was written, more than half of the things that you have in the oceans were not even exist. This promise, this prophecy, includes all the things that are about to be born in the future. Not only what we have now. Even tomorrow it's going to be a new species made artificially or naturally in the oceans. Scientists always make different kinds of experiments. It's included in a prophecy. Which means if one scientist will be able to create a snake with scales, that will be the end of the Torah. Who could promise such a thing? Only the creator of all the oceans, the creator of everything that lives in the ocean, the one who controls the future 100%, control all the experiments of the scientists, control every movement between the fish themselves, and he writes such a guarantee. This is just one out of thousands of examples that I have. There's much more than thousands. This is what I have. I showed you two proofs so far. In this lecture alone, I have about 120 proofs. I only showed you 2 so far. 2 out of 100 and something that I have here. I'll give you another example. The Torah says, every animal that has 2 signs is kosher. What are the 2 signs? It has to chew its cud, redigest the food exits the stomach, We swallow it, they digest it again. This is how they do it. Chew it cud, that's what it's called. And have split hooves. So now, the Torah says, for instance, a cow has both. A cow always having a gum in her mouth, and look at the hoofs of the cow. It's split. That's the sign that it's kosher. The Torah says, everything that doesn't have two signs is not kosher. The Torah says, but be careful. There are 4 exceptional animals. Just before I explain, how many species of animals we know today? We know. In the archives, how many? More than 2 million. More than 2 million different species. The Torah says, out of these 2 million that we know, there's 4 exceptional that have only one sign, not 2. The pig, the camel, the rabbit, and the hare. 4.
What's the last one?
The hare, not the rabbit, the hare. It looks the same. What's the name of it? Hare. Huh? How do you say it? No, maybe I'm saying it wrong. I said it right. Okay, good. Those 4 only doing one thing. One sign. Now, what does it mean? That if we're going to find the 5th, one extra one, it will show that there's a mistake in the book. Because the book say only 4. It's God. God knows how many animals He created. If it will be a 5th one, it will be the end of the Torah. What person can write such a thing? Right next to it, it says you have to keep Shabbat. Don't create any fire on my 7th day. Why here you're getting impressed, by here you're not? Because you're ignorant. No, you're not wicked, you're not evil. You just don't know what you're living for. You think you came here to be a chimpanzee. But you never use your head to think, if the purpose of this world was to enjoy here, then all the people will enjoy. But nobody enjoys here. The more money people have, they think they're going to be happy. Bill Gates just answered a year ago when he was in an interview in Israel. Money does not bring happiness. Sicknesses, problems, so much problems. And it's only temporary. Now you have to remember one thing. The richer you become, you suffer more from your death. Why? A person that never had money, moments before he died, he's not so upset to live such a lousy life. He owes the credit card, he owes here, he owes there. He doesn't eat his heart that he has to live in his mansion. But a person that saves so much, now he has to die in the middle of the pleasure. Finally, build a house. It kills him. Look how much money I leave in my accounts. I didn't have time to enjoy. I thought I'm going to live until 500. I once told the story. One Jew that made $100 million was hospitalized age 70 with cancer. The doctor was Chinese over there. He came to his ear and said, listen, Mr. Moscovich, I have a news for you. In China, we have the cure to your problem. They're not allowed here in America. It's illegal here. I can get it for you in a black market in China and bring it to you. And I'm telling you already, it's going to cost me a few dollars. That's all. It's nothing. The ingredients are all natural. But there's a 99.9% chance you wake up tomorrow as a new person. How long are you going to live? I'm not God. A year, 6 months, 5 years. Could die from an accident tomorrow. I don't know. So the Jew said, so what are you waiting for? Go get the medicines. Business is business. Well, what do you think? So what do you want for it? He said, I checked you very well. I see that you have $100 million. I'm willing to be generous with you. I will leave you $1 million to yourself. Here is the papers, sign. I'm getting 99%, 99 million from what you save all your life. But I'm leaving you $1 million to live. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you starve. What do you think? Mr. Moscovich will sign the deal or not? Sure he will. Nobody wants to die. Let me stay in age 70 with $1 million than to die and leave $100 million to whom? To Uncle Sam? To take half of it? Say, no problem, give me the medicine. Comes the Chinese, Mr. Bruce Lee, He comes, he gives him the bottle, he drinks it. After he signs the papers, he gets up. His children coming, they're very upset that he got up. So they hug him, they hug him, you know, especially when they saw Bruce Lee smiling all the way to the bank. So what happened? What do we learn from this story? That we are the biggest fools in life. Why? Why we are the biggest fools? Because each one of us, and not only us, almost everybody in this world has a mission to accumulate as much money as possible. And they run, they kill themselves. If I would see this Mr. Moscovich, I will have to tell him such a thing. I tell him, listen, 40 years you work like crazy, travels, business meetings, one plane to the other, break your back, flights, missing your flight, leaving your wife alone, don't have time for your children, the children cannot stand you because you're always in a business. After 40 years of such hard work, you save $100 million, and to buy maybe another day of life, you gave it all up. You're full. When you had all this life, every day was $100 million. You're willing to buy it for $100 million. Why you wasted your life? That's what the Torah says. Here, you can accumulate as much more mitzvot and prepare your life of eternity. Where does it say it? Maybe I'm fooling you. Don't believe. Read, learn. If you want, I'll show you right now. I'll open a different lecture and I'll show you. This is what it says. I'll tell it to you. You don't believe? You go and check in Sefer Dvarim. It says, I'm torturing you to see what's in your heart. God is speaking to the Jews. I'm torturing. It's worse than traffic. Torture, real torture. Cancer, problems, all kinds of depression, whatever you want to call it. Torture. Everybody translate torture in a different way. But everybody agree that we don't want tortures. That's for sure. I'm torturing you to see what's in your heart. Are you going to stay faithful to me or not? And another place, I'm torturing you to see if you're going to keep my laws or not. Why? To benefit you in the end. Clear sentence, simple Hebrew. You don't need rabbis, you don't need translation, nothing. Simple Hebrew. Every kindergarten kid will tell you what it means. What? To benefit you in your end. Why? Why you don't believe in it? You get a check from Citibank, you can swear that it's going to be good, the check, right? Tomorrow maybe they'll be bankrupt. They're on the way over to bankruptcy already. But you guarantee that the check is good, no? If somebody comes to you with a cashier check from Citibank and want to buy your $5 million house, certified check, you give him the house. Maybe the bank will go overnight bankrupt. Still no 100%. Well, you have a guarantee from God that's more than 100%. That's not for me, Rabbi. Let me be a penny wise, dollar foolish. Let me work 20 years, maybe I have a house. Maybe I'll get an apartment in Queens. I'll have a nice Toyota or Mercedes. That's my life. This is my goals in life. Why? Because this is the way they raised me. I have known nothing better than that. Ask one Jew, one non-religious Jew, tell me the purpose of life. They're all gonna repeat the same nonsense. Pleasure, vacations, money, nice house, nice clothing, nice jewelry, successful lawyers' kids, lawyers, liars, whatever you want to call it. My son will be a doctor. For me, it's a great thing in life. A beautiful wife, 5 different wives on the sides. That's Las Vegas, casino, sports. That's it. That's the goal of life for most people. One of these things in the list is the purpose of life. I will give one last example for tonight, that in case you are not convinced yet, maybe that should do it. I'm skipping a lot. Here, let me give you. Here, you see the difference between the Jews and them? They're all made from one copy machine in 7-Eleven. Look, all of them. The copy, somebody pressed 1 million copies and left and came back after a year. They all were made. But the Jews, they look like everyone. You know why? Because the way you look, your genes are affected by the air that you breathe. And the Jews were spread in all the continents. And that's why we have black Jews and blonde Jews and blue eyes and green eyes and yellow eyes, whatever you want. Why? Because we were all over. Okay, let me give you the example that I told you. The Gemara says that after the destruction of the second temples, the Knesset of the Chachamim said to God, God, a person is getting remarried and he still remembers his first wife. How did you forget about us? That was the question. And listen to what God answered them. Just before I start to read, I want you to know one thing. Until 400 years ago, everybody in the world thought there is 6,000 stars. That's all. There's no way to count more. There's no telescope yet, no nothing. And when Galileo developed his telescope, for the first time they realized there's much more galaxies. But up to then, 400 years ago, everybody knew how many stars we have. They count 6,000, that's all. The Gemara was written close to 2,000 years ago and was given to us in Mount Sinai 3,318 years ago. And this is the nation of Israel asked God, you forgot about us completely? Even a person that hates his divorce, divorcee, what do you call it, divorcee, his ex-wife, he still remembers her. And you, even we had a marriage in Mount Sinai, you dumped us completely, you threw us to the exile, and you forgot about us completely. Here is the answer of God. Amar la Kadosh Baruch Hu, and God answered, my daughter, BT, sounds good, no? Good start. 12 sections I created in heaven. That's the horoscope. Now you understand where it comes from. And in each section I created 30 army. And in each army I created 30 legion. In each legion I created 30 raton. In each raton I created 30 karaton. In each karaton I created 30 gisteras. In each gistera I hung 365,000 multiplied by 10,000 stars. And all of that I created for you. And you have the nerve to say that I forgot you and left you? This is the answer of the Gemara. First, remember, in a generation that a person look up to the sky and he see only 6,000 stars, and this was written in that generation, everybody that read it said the Jewish Torah is foolish. We see 6,000 stars. What does it say here? What's the calculation of the Gemara? 10 to the power of 19 stars. Quadrillion something. 1 and 18 spaces after the zero, after the dot. A huge number. Comes the Goyim, say, oh, what is this? Don't you see 6,000 stars? Your Torah is nonsense. What does the scientist say today? Let's see. In 1990, Dr. T. Brewers from Queen Mary College in London had a research with mega computers and found there's 10 to the power of 19 stars in the universe. Not that we care about him or we rely on what he found. Of course, the number can never be proven to the last star. That's not the issue. The issue is who had the nerve and the guts or the imagination 3,300 years ago to write such a thing in the Torah. I created and reached 10 to the power of 19 stars when you can only look up to the sky and count 6,000. How did you know? Where this information came from if people claim that the Torah was given by a human being? Where? Or one of the stars is the moon. And the renewal of the moon, the Torah says the renewal of the moon is never less than 29 days and a half and 2/3 of the hour and 73 parts of the minute. This is the number, 29.5305900. What did NASA find out? This is an original page of NASA, Earth Moon System. And the numbers of NASA is 29.530588. And this is the number of the Torah, 200,000 of a second different. Take a second, 1 second. Here, 1, 2. That period of time divided to 100,000. Take 2 pieces out. That's the difference between us and NASA. What did the German find? They're always more precise. Now there's 29.530, 589. There's only 100,000 of a second. And now they adjusted, or they will adjust it soon to the right number. What human being 3,300 years ago could have write a number with 6 different places after the dot when we didn't have a calculator until 30 years ago? A calculator, not a computer, not a watch or satellites that measure all the angles of the moon, the renewal of the moon, to know it will never be less than this number, to 100,000 of a second, unless if it's the creator of the moon and the entire system. And he created all of that for the nation of Israel. Now you may ask me, who needs all this? Give me $1 for each star that you created, I'll be better off. No, you won't. If I wanted you to be rich, I'll make you rich. The reason you're poor, because your test is to be poor. And your friend has to be rich. What do you think? That your test is harder than him? You're wrong. It's much harder to be rich. Because the rich people receive X amount of money for their own life, and all the other money is to distribute to others. And since they don't do it, they are stealing from God. And they are not doing what they were made for. And that's a big problem. So the Gemara says to be poor, not to have enough food, is also bad. So what's the conclusion? To be an average person is the best. To give your charity, to live normal life, to have a simple house, good car to move around, that's the best. That's the ideal. Much better. You know what's the interesting part is that God showing us in this generation that the billionaires in this country, the 2 top billionaires here, are Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. Bill Gates already gave 17 billion to charity, and he already announced that the 60 billion that he has, once he died, all goes to charity. He only leaves $10 million to his 2 children. That's all. Everything goes to charity. And Warren Buffett doesn't have to announce. He already gave 30 billion to charity. Already gave. These goyim give everything they have to charity. And you know how many other Jews you have here around that also have billions? They have, maybe not 30 or 50, but they have 2, 3, 4, 10 billions. They have. They give. I hope they give enough. But I believe they don't give enough. Because if those billionaires will give like they gave, the Jewish situation, the situation of the Jews in the world will be much better. Remember, there is enough money for the Jewish nation. 13.2 million people, it's not enough. If you take all the billions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars from all the people and distribute it equally to 13.2 million people, each person will have guaranteed more than $1 million cash in his hand. Each person, not each family. So if you have 4 brothers and parents, it's going to be 6 million for this family. It's enough to live. Just from the interest in the bank you live. You don't have to work. So why we don't have it? Because our brothers are stealing it from us. And they're going to be judged for it. You understand? And if we're going to steal from them, we're going to be judged. It's all a system. Gemara say, who make a favor to who? The rich that he give charity to the poor, or the poor that ask for charity from the rich? Who does a favor to who? Everybody will say, the rich is helping the poor. He's doing him a favor. The Torah say no. The poor person gave the rich such a gift that now when he gave him $1,000 or 5, whatever it is, he's going to get such a reward for that. So in the world to come, he's going to run after this poor. He said, why didn't you beg me for 100,000? Same thing, one guy was beating up a Jew. He was beating him up with no mercy, breaking his bones. The king passed by with his soldiers. The king says, why are you beating him up? He says, he's a Jew. He says, so what if he's a Jew? He said, well, I didn't know, you're going to care. So they arrested that guy. And what happened after that? They put the Jew in a hospital, they took care of him. Once the Jew felt better, the king judged him. And the king told him, listen to me, how many times you hit him? He said, 100 times, your majesty. And the Jew says, right, at least 100 times he beat me up. So the king said to the goy, for every time you hit him, you have to give him $1,000. So the Jew just found out that he's going to make $100,000. He started to cry. He's crying. So he says, the king said, why? I'm not a fair judge? Why are you crying? So he said, no, God. You're more than, no, Your Majesty, you're more than fair. So why are you crying? He said, if I knew that for every time he hit me, I'm going to make $1,000, I would beg him to give me 5,000 hits. That's us. Every time you have a problem, you just earn a lot in the world to come. Suffering erases the sins, the Torah says. God says clearly in the Torah, if you understand Hebrew, if not, I'll translate. It says, Et asher yoav Hashem yeyasro. Someone that I love, I torture. Why? Because it's better to suffer in a temporary world than in an eternal world. And the last sentence for tonight, you can turn the lights on. I just want to put it in front of your eyes, that you don't say that I made it up. You all wonder why the wicked people celebrate in this world, all these Hollywood stars, all these politicians, when we are the good people, hardly have our necessary stuff that we need to live. And the answer for that is right in front of you. Here you go. Here you go. Remember the source. It's in the Torah, Parasha, Sefer Dvarim, the 5th book. Va'etchanan, Parashat Va'etchanan. Remember. Verse 9, after the Maftir, this is what it says. It says, you should know that your God is the faithful God who keeps His covenant and kindness to His lovers who keep His mitzvot for thousands of generations. We only live one. It says for thousands of generations. And pay His haters, those who hate Him, cash to their face. Cash to destroy them. Will not delay His enemies, will pay them cash. You should keep these laws and the sentences that I'm ordering you today to do. So if somebody ever asks you, why this crook, why this Mechalel Shabbos, why this one who married a non-Jewish woman and his children are goyim, why they making millions and they have fancy life, and we that pray every day and keep Shabbat and give charity, we have all kinds of problems. The answer is because God does not delay the payments to those wicked people who have a little bit mitzvot. If they keep a little bit of the Torah, He pays them in this temporary life. Take a Mercedes, take a car, take a football team, take a fur coat, take another diamond, take another movie. What is your dream? Another movie, another cable, another channel, another computer? No problem. Take. But don't ask me anything when you come in front of me after your trial. I owe you nothing. I paid you for all the good you did. You fasted in Kippur once a year. Here is your house for that. You gave charity once in a while. Here is your car. You did this. You got a beautiful wife. You did that. You never got sick seriously, except flu or some other minor things. A lot of people suffer. You did not suffer. Everything he did, he got paid. But the righteous people, what does it say here? To the wicked, I will not delay their payment. To the wicked, I will not delay their payment. I rather pay them now. What do you learn for the righteous? That their reward is not here. The reward is not here. The Gemara asks, how do you know that the reward is not here? The Gemara brings a story that happened 2,600 years ago. It happened. What happened? There was a king in Israel, his name was King Chizkiyahu. The greatest king ever lived in the Jewish nation. The most righteous king ever lived. He did not want to get married. Why? He saw in a prophecy that he's going to have a wicked son, that will put out idols for the Jews to bow down to them. He said, you know what? Even though I'm such a desirable man, I'm a king, handsome, chacham, everything, a genius, I will not take any of these women. I'll die single. And remember, a single person 2,600 years ago in his level, which means he will never touch a woman once in his life. It's not like today, you don't need to get married to have a wife. Every week they change a wife here. This is a righteous person. He will suffer all his life without a woman, not to bring a wicked person to the world. Then God saw that what he's doing, he sent him the prophet Isaiah, 2,600 years ago, Yeshayahu. He sent it to him. He said, prepare for your death. You made a big sin, you cannot stay alive. He said to the prophet, I made a big sin? Look, every kid in this generation became a rabbi thanks to me. What sin I made? I never made a sin. I know myself. I told him, you're right. One sin you did make. He said, what? He said, you did not get married. The first mitzvah in the Torah, you must get married and have children. You have to do your best. If God doesn't give you a wife, it's a different story. But if you have an opportunity and you don't take it, you're a sinner. Poor, you got to have children. He said, but God knows that I'm not getting married because of this problem, that I'm going to have a wicked son, not because I don't want. He said, you are not God. Don't mix your opinion with God's opinion. God knew that there will be wicked children. He knew that righteous people such as Yitzchak will have Esav. And he still ordered us to have children. Don't use your Ruach HaKodesh, your prophecy, not to have children. You had to get married. Say, okay, I made a mistake, you're right. Tell God to give me some more years to live that I can correct my sin. And I want to marry your daughter. He told the prophet. So the prophet said, well, as far as I'm concerned, I agree. But let's see if God's agree also. So what happened? The next day, the prophet comes to him and says, I have good news for you. God agreed to give you 15 more years of life, that you can get married to my daughter and have children. He did not believe him. He thought maybe he's cheering him up or something. So he told him, give me a sign. You're the prophet, the famous prophet of generation. Give me a sign that God really forgives me. So he told him, tonight the sun will not set. No sunset tonight. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you still see a sun in the middle of the sky. It can be a better sign than this. So I told him, okay, there will be a good sign. So what happened? The sun did not go down. The people in Iraq, Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, the most wicked king in history, worse than Hitler, worse than Pharaoh, worse than all of those. He murdered more than 20 million Jews and destroyed the first temple 2,600 years ago. But when he saw that it's still sunny at 10 o'clock at night, everybody got nervous. So he took a messenger, he told him, get on a horse and ride to Jerusalem and ask the Jews there in the temple if they know why there's no sunset today. What's going on? They know anything. Let's find out. So he wrote a letter to the King Chizkiyahu, the people of Jerusalem, the people of Israel, and in the end he wrote, and to their God. Just when the messenger was about to start riding his horse, he said, wait, I made a mistake. He got up from his chair. He made 3 steps, 1, 2, 3. He took out the paper and he erased the name of God from the end of the sentence and he put it in the front, in the beginning. And he said, to the God of Israel, to the King of Israel, to the people of Jerusalem. He made it in the right order. The Torah told us that because he made 3 steps in his life for the honor of God, and he gave respect to God 1 second in his life, the reward that God gave him, that he owned the entire world for 70 years. He was the king in this world for 45 years. The Babylonian Empire owned the entire world. They occupied every piece of land in the entire earth. Every human being in this planet paid him taxes. They had army all over. It was a huge empire. You see them all over, even in Long Island. You have Babylon. Everywhere you go, Babylon. That's them. That's him. This guy, Nebuchadnezzar, was a midget like this. Yes, the Torah says a midget. A midget that created a lot of damage. So what happened? He became the king 45 years. His son was 23 years the king. And his grandson was 2 years the king. Altogether 70 years. 70 years for 3 steps. A goy. A wicked guy. For that he's punished until today. But for the one good thing he did, to respect God, for somebody in his level of pride, he was a very proud person. The Gemara says he was unbelievably proud. But for him, for such a proud person, that he made 3 steps to respect the God of the Jews, 70 years of wealth and glory and fame. Comes the Gemara and say, come and learn, my Jewish brother, from this story. If a goy, despicable, wicked goy, that murdered so many people and did so much bad in the world, but once in his life he did one good thing and he got 7 years that the entire earth was belonged to him, how much God has to give every Jew for one time he goes to shul on Shabbat? 10 minutes you walk, it's much more than 3 steps. So each 3 steps, at least you deserve to get what he got, no? Minimum. You're going to praise God for 2 hours in shul, not for 1 second. So 3 steps, 70 years. 70, that's 1 Jew. Multiply by thousands of Jews go to shul every day. How God will divide earth to so many righteous people. So from here you learn that the reward for the mitzvot is not even here. And the Gemara says clearly, you don't need calculation. This is just to back it up. The Gemara says clearly, the reward for the mitzvot in this world are none. Only to the world of eternity. When the soul separates from the body goes to the worms, and the soul goes back to our Father in heaven, and over there's no time. No time like here. Time exists only where material exists. When you have material, you have time. When you don't have material, there's no time. In a dream, the longest dream is 9 seconds, the scientist says. But when you wake up from a dream, you can tell a story of 6-7 months. 6-7 months, conversations in jail with the cops, with the judge, they take you, your wife is crying, your baby, you go to the hospital. 9 seconds. Why? When the soul is not limited, it's not inside material, time, God can put inside the soul millions of years of pleasure or millions of years of suffering. You don't really need the body to be burned in hell. Like some people think, how am I going to go to hell? If the body goes to the ground and the soul goes up to God, as the clinical dead people testify that their soul fly after they die and they came back into their body. But a lot of those dead people do not come back to their body. Watch my lecture, Life After Life. This is a 2 hours lecture in a website with all the people who died and came back to life. I have movies about it, pictures, unbelievable thing. But those who died and didn't come back to life, where are they? Those who went to hell, such as Hitler, for sure his punishment wasn't to suffer 5 seconds, to shoot himself in the head, suffer 5 seconds and that's it. I suffer more than him with my back pain. I didn't kill 6 million people. So what's the point here? Of course, he's going to suffer somewhere. But where? But his body, we all saw the body is right here. How is he going to be burned if the body is here? You cannot burn the soul. Sure you can. Same way in a dream, you feel that you burn and you scream and you cry and you feel the pain exactly. This is hell. God puts the soul like a simulator. You're there, and as much as He wants you to suffer, you're going to suffer for all your sins. Without the body, who needs the body? Anyway, the body doesn't feel the fire. It's all the soul. What's the proof? A dead person. Burn him with a cigarette. Does he feel pain? So who feels the pain? The soul. Once the soul came out of the body, you can burn him until tomorrow. He doesn't move. He may be smiling even. Put the soul back in his body. From the minute the soul enters, he feels now the burning. When he was outside, I have a friend that died and came back to life. An Italian guy choked him as a game with 2 shoes, sneakers, where he tied the laces together, and he choked him from behind, an Italian guy in Brooklyn, and then he died. Second before he died, he felt such pain, like he's choking him, he's playing. The moment he came out, I saw my body falling on the ground, everybody screaming, calling 911, but I don't feel any pain. I fly, and I see everybody screaming, crying. And then I came back to life. From the moment I came back to life, I started to feel like a scar in my neck. But when I was outside, I did not feel anything. Very simple. Because everything is the soul. The body is only a box. But how much we dedicate for this box. Just imagine if your husband bought you $1 million diamond. And all you do is cleaning the $1 plastic box. What a box. Then the husband says, "You're full. Open the box. You have a diamond inside." That's what God going to tell us if we're not going to wake up. You're full. You have a divine soul inside. You're playing with your body all the time. Hair, designer, this clothing, that diet, this surgery, this, that. What is this? Remember the chimpanzee story. You may say, "But I'm happy with my life. I'm okay. Why do I cannot be religious?" You were created for a purpose. Don't miss the train. You know Kunta Kinte? You heard about him? Kunta Kinte was in Africa. He was a slave. When the time of slavery, one time a white man was beating him up with a whip. So then an American guy saw it. And he said, "Why are you beating him up? It's a man." He said, "No, it's a slave." So he said, "How can I release him from you?" He said, "Give me $20, it's yours." So he bought him out. So now Kunta Kinte told him, "Listen, if you're going to leave me here, as soon as you get on a plane, they'll take me back. No, but we have no rights here in Africa." He said, "Okay, I'll buy you a ticket, I'll bring you with me to America." He brought him here to America. Now he's in America. I said, "What am I going to do with you?" He said, "Whatever you tell me to do, I'm your slave. At least you're not beating me up." He said, "You know what, I'm going to make you a booth in Lexington Avenue in the subway, shoe shine." It's been years since I saw shoe shines. I just was in Las Vegas in the lecture. I came to the airport, all this casino noise, then I see a guy sitting there, shoe shine. How can you sit in front of 1,000 people and let a guy shine your shoes? It's hard to believe. So he made him a shoe shine. Then, after a month, he's whistling, he's singing, he's dancing. One millionaire came, he sits on a shoe shine stand over there. He see the slave, the black person, is happier than him. He owns such a company, and he's not happy like this black guy, So I told him, "Excuse me, sir, what's your name?" He said, "Kunta." I said, what makes you so happy here? Crazy? He said, "No, perfectly normal." So where is your happiness coming from? So I told him, "If you knew where I was a month ago, you would understand." So he said, "You know what, since you're such a positive person, why don't you come work for me?" We said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I have a limo, I'm going to make you a driver, you wear a tuxedo, whiskey, cigars, I take you to nice places." So he said, "I'm with you. What's with the booth? The hell with the booth." He went with him, the guy came to the booth, where is Kunta? Disappeared. 6 months later, he walked in a street in Manhattan, in Park Avenue, what does he see? He see a familiar face. "Kunta, what are you doing in this car?" He grabbed his hair out of the window, he got him on the car, he's kicking him, beating him up. So he say, "I don't understand one thing. You are grateful, I got it. But you are the happiest person in the world. I was jealous with you, how you're happy, you're singing, you're dancing." He said, "Come back to the booth." He said, "You kill me, I'm not coming back to the booth." He said, "But you are the happiest person on earth." He said, "Because I thought that this is good. Now when I found out what real good is, you kill me, I will not return to this life." And this is what I tell each one of you. You think, "I'm okay, I'm happy, I make good money, I have nice house, I have a girlfriend, husband, whatever you have, each one with his dream. Why do I need to change?" Only after you change, a few months later, somebody will come and offer you anything to go back to the way you are today, You will never agree. Don't believe me? Ask all the Baalei Tshuva. Anyone you want, tell me, you used to be like me. If somebody convince you to go back to the old ways with money, or tell you to become a Chalal Shabbos, they're not going to agree. They won't agree. And what's the proof? I know people that were making fortune. Hairstylists. He had a salon for ladies, making fortune. Or makeup artists, one of a kind. Or people who had, God forbid, pornographic change of video stores, making $40,000, $50,000 a week. And once they became religious, they left. They don't care about the money. They give it all up. They don't care. They make a little parnassah today and they're happy. Some of them are bankers, doctors. They want to sit and learn Torah and enjoy life. Make 5% of what I used to make. I'm also happy. They can still leave everything now and go back to work and make money. They still have it. But they're not interested. The Torah says, after the actions, follow the hearts. Not the other way around like we think. You think when my heart will love it, I'm going to be ready for it, Rabbi. I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready to be modest now. Or not to make sins with men on the street. I'm not ready for it. It has to come to me. When I'll be ready, I'll stop. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to first stick to the law. But it's painful. I'm not used to it. Give it 3 months. After 3 months, you'll be the happiest person in the world. You don't like food? What food you don't like? You don't like eggplants? I'm a proof. Couldn't stand eggplant. In the army, they give you eggplant morning, evening, breakfast, lunch. Couldn't stand it. You know what? Today it's my favorite food. You don't have a choice, you begin to eat. You begin to eat, you begin to like it. And eventually it's your favorite food. You don't like to keep Shabbat? I agree. In the beginning, you're not used to it. You used to go to the beach, shopping, this, television. Give it 3 months, 12 Shabbatot, try. I'm not lying to you. Try 12 Shabbatot. Then you talk to me. You get used to your new life. Even if you're a lawyer making $100,000 a year, and another firm offered you $1 million a year, not 100,000. To move from this firm to the other, it's also difficult. Changing the trains, changing the arrangements, your secretary is not as nice as the other one was, you don't like your desk, your boss has a mustache, it reminds you of Saddam Hussein, whatever. Whatever the case is, it's not going to be a picnic, it's always going to be difficulties. But for $1 million, you're willing to make the change. But a year later, they tell you, go back to the other firm. Not interested. I hope you catch the point here. Point is not just to prove. To prove, if you're still not sure, go to my website, divineinformation.com. You see thousands of proofs over there. The point is to change not tomorrow, tonight. Tonight, before you go to sleep, you talk to God. God, listen, I was in the darkness until today. I was influenced by society. I'm one of millions. Help me to get closer to you. Show me the way. Find me the right people. The people who will invite me to the shul, to Shabbat, to more lectures, to meet new people, more righteous people. Help me with what I need to do. If you speak to him like Abraham did, that's why he's so great. He was speaking to him from age 3. And only years later, Hashem came to him and gave him everything. And he became the greatest person on earth. Speak to him. Don't worry, he's listening to everything. But don't ask only money. Ask for money also. But ask for the most important thing. Help me to fulfill my mission in this life. I don't want to be reincarnated all over again or go to hell. I want to do what I was created for. Thank you very much and good night.